we live in times where evidence is required for everything. Even the fact that we are alive requires some sort of scientific evidence if it is to be accepted, especially by medical professionals. To further the scientific aspects of yoga, we have been performing scientific research on different yoga techniques over the past many decades. And with regard to the Pranava Pranayama, it has been part of many research protocols that have been studied by our team led by Professor Madanmohan ji. The Pranava was part of the protocols in studies looking at muscular strength, especially the hand grip strength and hand grip endurance. And we found that the slow pranayama group that had Pranava as part of it showed enhanced hand grip strength and endurance, signifying the skeletal muscle function improvements. In other studies, we have seen that the respiratory muscles, especially the intercostal muscle strength, that can be studied by the maximum and minimum inspiratory and expiratory pressures. We found that this improved in those who were performing the group of pranayamas including Pranava. The cognitive function was found to be improved in that group also. And in one of the first studies many years ago, the systolic time interval, which is a physiological parameter that gives us information on the ventricular performance, non-invasive assessment of ventricular performance, the group that were performing Pranava Pranayama and other slow pranayamas showed enhanced improvement, signifying parasympathetic dominance or restoration of autonomic balance. In another study, we found that the cardiovascular changes also happened in that group. So many of the initial studies were on slow pranayamas, of which Pranava was one. But then we started looking at Pranava Pranayama as an individual technique. And we started to see what happens if you perform the Pranava Pranayama alone. And we found that the cardiovascular parameters such as heart rate, systolic and diastolic pressure, and the rate pressure product, that is an index of myocardial oxygen demand, the load on the heart, all of these showed reduction after performing Pranava Pranayama. We did it in supine as well as sitting positions, showing the changes differ based on sitting and supine also. We then took a group of patients who had diabetes and hypertension and gave them the Pranava in supine position, showing improvements in the cardiovascular function after just 5 to 10 minutes of Pranava Pranayama done from the supine in a relaxation process. Patients of hypertension have also shown great improvements after performing Pranava for just 5 minutes. This has recently been taken further in one of the studies at JIPMER that is looking at transcranial flow, that is the blood flow across the brain in patients who have suffered stroke. And this Pranava Pranayama done in the supine position shows enhanced flow occurring in the patients who have had strokes. Similarly, we are currently working on sinus arrhythmia and the changes happening in different pranayamas, and our initial analysis of the study shows that those who are performing Pranava Pranayama show enhanced sinus arrhythmia, which means that the autonomic regulation of your heart is improving when you perform the Pranava. We have just started to look at the tip of the iceberg of the benefits. It is hoped in years to come, with different studies and newer techniques, newer instruments, we'll start to understand better and better how this wonderful technique of Pranava Pranayama is helping us physiologically as well as psychologically, and who knows, one day we may be able to measure how it helps us spiritually too.